Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another in our JBDC virtual Biz Zone. My name is Sophia Campbell, and I'm your host for this morning. We have been looking at the benefits that MSMEs can access both through customs, and today we're going to look at the border through, again at the border, through some benefits that the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce has for our MSMEs, for our manufacturers at the border whenever you try to bring in equipment or anything like that for your production. So we're going to be continuing this morning on our logistics management series, and our subtopic for this morning is MSME benefits at the border. As you know, the Christmas season is coming up. And so there are a number of items that you want to bring in, and we want to ensure that there's efficiency when you try to access services at customs throughout the season. And so this morning we have with us Ms. Sophia Wellington, and she is the Director of Industry at the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. And she's going to be sharing with us some of those benefits that MSMEs can access. Just a reminder that the session is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel later on this week. You can also catch snippets of it on our social media platforms on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and maybe even on LinkedIn. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so, because as I said, this will be available on the channel by about Friday. And for those sessions that you may have missed, because we've been doing this for a while, we started on April 1, 2020. So imagine the wealth of knowledge that is available on our channel. I invite you to binge watch whenever you have the time, because there is so much information on there for you to get for your business, right? So I'm without much further ado, I'm gonna hand over to Sophia, and she's gonna share with you, and then we're gonna come back with some questions, some answers. Hopefully you'll have questions and we'll have the answers for you. But just in case a question pops up during the presentation, let's drop it in the chat so that we can remember to address it when the time comes. So Sophia, it's over to you.
All right, good morning, Sansia. Good morning, JBDC team, and good morning, of course, to our manufacturers. Want to welcome you to this session, and we're hoping that it will be beneficial to you. And of course, as Sansia said, you can drop your questions, and we'll do our best to try and answer them as best as possible. So let me start by sharing our slides. So morning again. So Sophia Wellington, I'm the Director of Industry, and this is under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Today's presentation, I will go through the genesis of the Omnibus Incentive Legislation under which the Productive Inputs Relief Program is run, the benefits of the incentive program, who can benefit, duration of the PIR, and registration procedure, application requirements. And I'll cap it all by adding a little of our performance data that we gather from the processing of this incentive. So the Omnibus Incentive Legislation was developed in 2014, and it was geared at simplifying and streamlining the regime in place at the time for tax incentives. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with some of the challenges we've had prior to 2014, in that equitable access to these incentives was not something that was seen, and therefore the government sought to put all of the incentive programs under one legislative kind of framework. And in so doing, it pieces together in the Omnibus Incentive Legislation the Fiscal Incentives Act, the Income Tax Relief, Large-Scale Projects and Pioneering Industries Act, the Customs Tariff Revision Amendment Resolution, and the Stamp Duty Act. So these 4 bits of legislation pulled together to become the omnibus incentive. We are, the PIR, the Productive Inputs Relief, is located under the Fiscal Incentives Act. And of course, we partner with the Customs Agency in delivering this particular service. So I spoke to some of the challenges that we're having, and where I'd want you to focus on is this last bullet, which says the minimization of tax-induced increases in production cost and the cost of doing business. So that is basically the aim, the focus of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce in processing these this incentive so that our manufacturers can reduce the cost of inputs into the production process. So let's look at some of the benefits of the incentive, of the Productive Inputs Relief Incentive. And you get duty-free importation of raw materials, intermediate goods, packaging items, consumables, equipment, machinery, including spare parts, and of course, if you need quality testing, quality control testing, or climate control storage, those sorts of equipment are covered under the program. The incentive comes with a GCT deferment component. However, this component is not processed by this ministry. It's something, once you have your productive input relief letter in hand, it's something you take now to the tax administration in Jamaica, and they will process the GCT component of it. But it continues with, you get 50% discount on customs administrative fees. There's an exemption on additional stamp duty for some items, and the standard compliance fee is also reduced. Manufacturers may also benefit on a larger scale now from employment tax credit that the Ministry of Finance has put in place, and capital allowance and loss carry forward schemes as well. These are processed through the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. And here I'm just breaking down a little more for you. So when we say raw material, we're looking at a natural or primary good, which goes into the production process. Intermediate goods are goods which have been transformed from their natural state, but which become now an input into your further production process. Packaging material, materials used to contain products, identify, preserve, etc. There are some rules around, for example, corrugated boxes, which would require a common external tariff relief, which is also from processed through this ministry. And therefore, some packaging material, you may need to take a second step to access the benefit. Consumables, of course, if you're operating machinery, you're going to need things like lubricants, spare parts, etc. And the framework intends to capture that. And as I said, machinery, items imported for direct use in the manufacture of goods. And it is important that we look at this one in particular, because sometimes the restriction we have when we're thinking about starting business or expanding businesses is how to access the equipment that we need. And we're saying here that the Productive Input Relief provides that linchpin for manufacturers to be able to equip their operations with a view to either increasing production or starting production. And just to give you a sense of what all of these relief that you get once you're a manufacturer, I want you to think back to the last time you had to bring in products to go into your manufacturing process. And over the period, the financial year 2021 to 2022, which is April to March, April 2021 to March 2022, the Customs Agency, the overall framework for productive input relief, the relief that was given was valued at $109 billion. So that's every manufacturer who is benefiting coming and they're able to get relief from the import duties, the customs administrative fee, the GCT, deferment. So when we total all of that together, which is something we do at the end of the year, just to kind of gauge how much relief is being given to the manufacturing sector, this is what we end up with. And that's a significant bit of revenue foregone by the government of Jamaica, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, with a view to supporting the manufacturing sector. So I want to just bear that in mind. Who can benefit? This is open to manufacturing companies, and we're looking at manufacturers at the micro, small, and medium levels. So once you are a registered company, you can either be in operation or at the startup stage, you can apply for this particular relief. And in terms of duration, the duration of the PIR incentive traditionally is 3 years. So if you're an existing operation and you apply for the productive input relief, you would normally, and we come and assess the operation, you would normally get a 3-year period to utilize this relief. However, we have a system in place wherein if you are just starting up and you literally don't have your building site built out, your factory space built out, we are saying you can still come in. We will come and look at what you plan to do, and we would recommend, once you've met the criteria, we will recommend that you be given a provisional duration, and that can be from 6 months to 1 year. And that is to facilitate now, if you're bringing in the equipment to go into the factory space, then you would have that facility available to you to do so. You would come back after the period has elapsed, look at where you are, and then you would put in a recommendation for a 3-year duration for the incentive for you. In terms of registration procedure, this is just an overview. So an application is made to the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and more specifically, the Industry Division of the Ministry. We assess the application as well as ensure that all the requirements are actually have been submitted. And then we make a referral to the JCA. The JCA is the body that sets the verification inspection. And rather than come to your business twice, doing an inspection and then the customs agency doing an inspection, we partner together with the customs agency, and what we have is a joint verification exercise. So the responsibility of the MIC team is to assess your manufacturing process and to see whether or not that meets the standard as set out in the customs amendment resolution. And then we are able to make a recommendation to the Jamaica Customs Agency for the company to receive the PIR. And then the final determination though is made by the customs agency. But as I said, the benefit of having the joint inspection or the verification exercise is that both teams are looking at the facility, are looking at the factory space and the production area together. And it usually comes out to agreement between the parties who are on site at the time as to what they're seeing and whether or not it meets the criteria. So I've just inserted a slide here actually referring to all I spoke about. And at the end of the day, JBDC team can make the slides available for you to share with our participants. So the steps are, you send in your application, we refer, conduct the joint site investigation, inspection, we make a recommendation, and of course, the final determination is made by the customs agency. And just to note here that the government of Jamaica is actually pursuing a national business portal in which this particular process, you'll be able to start the process down to the point of receiving your PIR letter, and you're able to do that online. You'll still need to come out and look at the site to verify the operation, but at least it would be a totally online process for any applicant, and then you can track as well where your application is. So that is to come very soon. I think in the next 2 years, we're building the IT infrastructure at the moment. So application requirements. Application forms are available from the industry section division of the ministry. We can email these applications to you, you can complete it, scan and send back to us, and we will start the process. So you need your company name. First and foremost, you need to be a registered business. We would ask for your company name, address, and if your business address is one location and your production address is another location, we ask that you share both on the application form so that we are able to look at the two areas. You must be TCC compliant or current, so you have to submit your TCC, your tax compliance certificate as part of your application, and then the usual contact details. Your name of directors is something that we also require, and we're also assessing the number of persons you are employing, the products you are manufacturing, the raw materials in general that are used in the production process, and then we want a breakout of how much materials you actually source locally and the materials that you plan to import to go into the production process. We also ask for a description of the production process. So usually that's done in terms of a process flow. So you'd walk us through in a diagram how you start and to get to the finished good at the end of the production process. We ask when you're doing that as well that you identify along the stages, if you're importing equipment, that you identify where the equipment you're importing will be utilized along that process flow. A component of the form requires HS codes, which you can normally source from your customs broker. So we encourage persons to have a customs broker in place or to be able to complete that section of the form. So we ask for the customs broker's name, business address, and of course, an up-to-date ID number. And just to let you know how since we're processing the applications, we are also able to see how many persons are actually benefiting. And up to August, I believe, of this year, we had 598 manufacturers who were actively benefiting from the productive input relief system. And we, over the course of the last financial year, 2021 to 2022, we would have received 172 applications. We would have made 161 recommendations, and 135 of those applicants were actually issued with productive input relief letters by the JCA. And we track the new persons, new companies benefiting, as well as those that are re-verified. So I mentioned before the duration. Once the duration elapses, so if you have a 3-year or 1 year, 6 months, once the duration elapses, we come back, you can apply for recertification, and we need to go back to your operation to view the operation. If you have made changes in your production process, if you're adding product lines to your production process, we ask that you share that with us, and we will be able to come in, look at that process, and then to verify the process you are undertaking. How we use the performance data, again, it's a useful tool in identifying for each year where we are seeing more persons benefiting, more manufacturers benefiting. And from the previous financial year, 21-2022, the food and beverage sector continues to be our largest beneficiary in this area, but we did see some uptick in construction and building And because of COVID and the need for sanitizers and cleaning equipment, we did see a surge in 2020 around producers of chemical substances, cleaning products, and that group currently represents about 14% of the 2021 financial year in terms of applications received. And we are seeing an uptick as well in furniture and woodcraft in terms of persons coming in and benefiting. And then the other 20% is stretched across various subsectors. So that is how we use the data once we collect the information. Our presentation ends here, but I want to draw your attention to, if you only remember one thing from this session, industry@nic.gov.jm. If you are able, if you require an application, you can certainly reach out to us. We have a team of 5 persons who are actively engaged in this processing and or processing time frames. Once you submit your application and it's everything is fine, we have a 2-day turnaround time. So we try to make the process as seamless as possible, getting it out of our shop, because we do appreciate and understand that you are in business and the time it's going to take we don't want you sitting and waiting around for these very beneficial tools to be to have access to these very beneficial tools. So I will end there and I would invite your questions at this time.
All right, thank you very much, Sophia. That was really short. I never expected it to be so short. Just for the benefit of everyone though, just so you know, we have an evaluation form for this morning that I'm going to now post in the chat and ask you that you complete it for us, because we want to know what your thoughts are and how we can make this activity better for you. Now, while you were presenting, Sophia, I had a question. I see that you have to get a letter to access this particular benefit. So that letter comes from the ministry, right? But then you said that we have to go to the tax administration to access the 50% for the GCT. What I want to know, there is another benefit from the Ministry of Finance. How do you access that benefit?
All right, so your first engagement is to actually submit an application form. So that's what you would submit to me, right?
That's submitted to the MIIC, right?
The MIIC through the industry division, email address industry@miic.gov.jm. That's your first step, right? You will then, once we are through the processing of that application, we do a site inspection in tandem with the customs agency, which is ultimately the agency that would grant that letter, that productive input relief letter. So what you get once you're approved is a letter from the customs agency identifying for you the various products, equipment, etc., that you are going to receive the relief on. Once you present that letter, once you're importing things for your manufacturing process, and you present that letter at the ports, then that is applied to your business, and you receive all of the relief we spoke about in terms of duty, customs duties, etc. So all of these come to fore once you have that letter. In terms of the 50% discount, in terms of the GCT deferment, so that again is a tax matter, and therefore at NIC we can process that tax matter. So you would have to do that further step, as I said, to go to tax admin, present your productive input relief letter to them, and they would do the reconciliation in terms of the GCT deferment. So what we're hoping to achieve by this is that persons are not taken up with the cost of being able to produce what they want to do, right? So we give you the PIR, you are able to import your equipment and your raw materials, intermediate goods, and we don't want you worrying about the GCT, paying the GCT component immediately, right? So we actually see this as almost working capital support, in that we're saying, if you want to get into business, get into manufacturing in particular, apply this productive input relief, and worry about your GCT payment down the line, right? So it's a deferment, and therefore at some point you will have to pay, but at least at the beginning, at the onset, you are not burdened with having to pay that.
All right, next question, and it's the same question that Kidis McCoy has posted in the chat. How long does it take for approval to happen?
Okay, so as I mentioned, for the team at MIC, we have a 2-day turnaround. Once you have submitted that application form and all of the pieces are together, so you have your TCC, your company registration document is there, we have your process flow, we turn around that application in 2 days to, you have to submit to the customs agency, right? So once everything is in place, it's 2-day turnaround to process. Once it gets to customs though, they are the ones who set the site inspection. The setting of the site inspection is done relatively quickly, but based on the number of applications we process, you might find yourself maybe a week or so later, right? In terms of actually persons coming in now and looking at your production process. In general though, so taken together, it's 3 weeks to a month to 4 weeks in terms of full processing and issue of that letter. 3 weeks to
3 weeks to a month. Because I was going to ask you if there are persons right now who have equipment in trade on the way to Jamaica, or inputs on the way to Jamaica for their manufacturing process. Is there a way that they can access this benefit? The two-day turnaround at our work, or the three weeks to a month, it's not going to work at all, because somebody typing it in the chat there. Is there any possibility of expediting, or is there a retro option? After them collect the item, can they apply for this benefit in the back and get it still?
All right, what I would say is apply for the benefit, right? In terms of if you have equipment on the way and so on, you can outline that to us. As I said, we try to partner as best as possible with the customs agency, but I must admit we don't encourage if you have equipment on the way, then you're just submitting an application, because it is a process. While we try to be efficient in that process, it is still a process that you have to go through. But I am thinking that the benefits far outweigh the trouble or the timing. So if we don't catch you for this particular shipment that you have, what you have the opportunity today to do is to apply to the ministry today, so that your next shipment is able to benefit under the program.
All right, so you know what would be helpful, Sophia? I know that you provided an email address for persons to send something to you to say, send me the form. It would be so much helpful if you could give us a link where we could find the form. That way, they can just click on the link, do the application, and it come right to you. And suppose you don't see the email early enough.
I hear you, and I do appreciate that. That would be the best way to do it. But remember, I said we are working on a national business portal at the moment, and therefore those elements would be taken into that process. So unfortunately for now, what we have to do is you send us the email, we'll send the form including instructions. And as I said, we have 5 team members who are dedicated to this particular activity. So an email, once it comes in, is actually treated within the day. So if you don't hear back from somebody within the day, it will be highly unusual for you. But once we have the business portal now set up, it would be just a matter of clicking a button. But we are a year or so away from that stage for now. So we can definitely try though to have it loaded up to our website. It's there on the website, but personally, I feel like we have to go through too many clicks to get to it. So we'll in the interim load up to the website at a accessible location, so that persons, once you're viewing the MIIC website, are able to just click and get to that form. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sophia. I have a question from Liz Forrester James. So Liz, we're gonna open your mic and you go ahead and ask your question. Liz, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, go ahead with the question.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this session. I have 3 barrels coming down from the UK and a crate with some stainless steel equipment and so forth for my facility that is not yet completed. We are a new company, just setting up the facility. What do I do here?
Okay, Miss Liv, what I would recommend is
Yes.
you can submit your application now. You didn't state how far away your shipment is, but you submit your, go ahead, sir.
It's packaged, I think just within another week or so it will be sent off.
Okay, so I'm still going to recommend that you submit your application. As I said, there is a component where we can do provisional relief. Once though you've submitted your application, we go through that process. You'll come, you mentioned that you're actually not fully set up as yet, and therefore we would look at what you intend to do, look at the space that you're going to be operating from, and then make a determination in that regard and make that recommendation to the customs agency.
Okay. Would I have to submit my project plan?
As I said, we maybe not the project plan. The application form is comprehensive. When the team comes to view your site, they'll ask any further questions they need to be satisfied that the operation you're proposing is indeed manufacturing. So that's what everything turns on. We have to be able to assess and be satisfied that you are entering into a manufacturing operation. So application form is critical. Your process flow is going to be a critical element since you actually have not started operations and we can't see the process for ourselves. You need to document for us your process flow and submit that with your application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Forrester James, always contributing to our sessions. We really appreciate you attending and participating in all of our sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any additional questions, now is a great time to ask them because we're about to wrap up. I think though the session was short, it was quite comprehensive. And we got some new knowledge this morning because I'm sure this is a program that not many of us were aware of. And what I would encourage persons to do is to check out the website of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. If I'm not wrong, it is miic.gov.jm. There are quite a number of incentives outlined, not just from the ministry itself, but also from the agencies of the ministries that you can access to benefit your businesses. We also want to invite you to take a look. You can just put the website comment, please, Abby, MIIC, www.miic.gov.jm. We also want to invite you to visit the new JBDC website. It is www.jbdc.net. Of course, it is chock full of information that you can use to help you to either grow the business or start the business. Wherever you are in the line, we can help you to get there. Our tagline is from concept to market, and we mean it from the idea pop into your head until you have that tangible product or that service that you are offering. We can take you from day one to to infinity. So please feel free to contact us. info@jbdc.net is our email address. 876-928-5161, and it goes up to 5. And remember, we are located at not in every parish, but at every point of the island that you need. If you are not in Kingston, it's not a problem. We have an office in Manchester, we have one in St. Thomas, we have one in St. Anne, St. James, all the locations. So there is chances that there is an office close to you. And of course, we are available online on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And in addition to that, you can access the recording for this morning on our YouTube channel at JBDC Jamaica. We invite you to subscribe so that you can be notified when new content is uploaded. And again, we're inviting you to just complete our evaluation form for this morning. I see Sophia with her hand up, so go ahead with your comments, Sophia.
Thank you, Sansia. I just want to say that the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is actually going to be doing a blitz, as it were, in terms of bringing the productive inputs relief for manufacturing to the people. So more sessions like this would be arranged. And of course, we know that the JBDC will partner with us in terms of some of your locations as we try to take this message across the island. Just to also indicate that there are other facilities. I mentioned the common external tariff and the safeguard facility that is processed from the ministry. So we are looking at bringing our services to the business community. And therefore, if you stay tuned to JBDC, you will see where we will be so that you can get more information along this line. So thank you.
All right, Kilis, I'm going to unmute and you go ahead with your question.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Sanshia. My question was, for those of us who use courier services, so for example, I use a ShipMe to bring my packages. When they are clearing the packages for me, will I be able to benefit in that medium, or I have to ship it directly to me and I clear it myself?
Right, so at this point, you would have to be able to ship it to yourself. But we are in the process of reviewing with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service in terms of the overarching framework for productive input relief, because this is a question that has come up in more recent times from some of our manufacturers, and we are addressing that with the Ministry of Finance at this time. So right now, you still have to ship it to yourself to be able to apply your letter, your productive input relief to the product. But we take that intervention, and we are in dialogue with the Ministry of Finance in terms of how we can make persons apply their letter, regardless of the logistical support that they are choosing to utilize to bring material in.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that question, and thank you very much, Sophia, for coming and sharing with us this morning. As Michelle said, enjoyed this meeting, very informative, 5 stars. So you know it was very, very informative. So thank you very much for coming and sharing with us. We truly appreciate your time in putting together the presentation and of course delivering it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the JBDC Virtual Biz Zone. This should be our final meeting like this for the year 2022. If there are any updates though, of course, you know, keep close to your email, just like how we found you all throughout the year and shared our information with you. Just keep in touch. Keep us active in your inbox. You know, once something breaks, we're gonna send it to you so that you can be aware of any developments in the sector that can benefit you as an MSME. Thank you so much for your support over the year. Can you believe it? We're in October. Next week of Christmas. So enjoy yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.